Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 142 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. I'm drinking a cup of Couchtown coffee right now. No, really, I actually am. It's my favorite coffee. I drink it every morning, and as I'm recording this, I'm actually drinking coffee in the afternoon. So I drink Couchtown coffee pretty much whenever I feel like it, every morning for sure. But if you want to find out why it's my favorite coffee, go to couchtowncoffee.com, find a coffee you like, and make an order. And because Couchtown Coffee is so awesome, they'll give you 20% off. All you have to do is say, hey, Audible Farm sent me here, and I just have to try this coffee. I've actually been taking some of my personal stash at Couchtown and divvying it out to some of my friends to let them try it out here and there. And I've had a couple people say, you know, this is actually really good. I'm going to order some for myself. So hopefully they did, because I'm not sharing any more with them. No, I'm just kidding. Check it out, though. Couchtowncoffee.com. They'll roast coffee for you, specifically for you, and ship it to your house. Doesn't get much easier than that. Thanks, Couchtown. This episode, I'm sitting down with the wonderful youngster Owen O'Brien. I met Owen at a jam night, and, he's in his teens, and he's probably one of the best bassists I've ever seen. That's not an exaggeration at all. The kid is just an absolute monster on the bass, and we sit down and talk about it, and it's pretty fun because it's like, how do you get so good? Well, I play a lot. Well, that seems to be the common response when I ask people how they got good at their instrument. But to say Owen's good might be a little bit of an understatement. The kid is just an absolute monster on the bass, and it's really fun because the two of us get to play with Jesse Wilson music now and then. And it's kind of, it's one of those things I just think to myself, I don't know how I got this lucky to be afforded these opportunities, but Owen has become one of my buddies as of late. He's just such a goofball. He's quick-witted. He's great at the bass. I like seeing him at shows, and that's the other thing, is he goes to shows and hangs out and watches other bands play too. He just really enjoys music, and I wish I had the drive that he had when I was his age, but I don't. I'm almost doubled his age, and I'm probably about half as good at playing instruments as he is. Maybe not even that good. This kid, like I said, he's an absolute monster. If you don't believe me, go to a jam night sometime. Go check out a Jesse Wilson show sometime. You got to see this kid play live. It is absolutely insane. So let's let the conversation take place here. So without further ado, it's episode 142 with Owen O'Brien.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Today I'm sitting down with Owen O'Brien. And Owen, I actually met you at jam nights.
Yes, you did.
Believe it or not, I meet a lot of people there. I'm sure that's probably where you met most of your musicians.
That is where
too.
I met most people. It's a fun place to do that.
Your grandpa, though, Tracy Ernst, probably afforded you quite a few opportunities to meet some musicians, though, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He would always take me out to anywhere, like Sneakers or Shiny Top, and he introduced me to Jeremy Ober and Chris Carr, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, these guys are legends.
These guys look cool.
Yeah. Honestly, Jeremy and Chris were like two of the first people I ever met in the music scene. And, Chris owned a guitar shop, and before that he worked at a different guitar shop. This is probably when you were really young. You might, but yeah, Fort Dodge Music Center, I don't know if you remember that place being a thing.
No, I know he worked at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
But I don't know where that last place was.
Yeah, Fort Dodge Music Center. It was like just over the bridge. I guess it'd be on the west side. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a computer shop now. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing Chris Carr in there, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, maybe I am mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's right. But
well, he's worked at a lot of music places.
Yes,
and he's been around a lot.
Yeah, until he finally started his own music place, which
settled in, and
yep,
Eighth Note became a thing. And
yep. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going, because that kind of went downhill with COVID, because you couldn't really keep the shop open, And
it's like an appointment-only thing now.
There you go. All right.
You make an appointment, then he'll show up and get you whatever you need. I mean, I've drained him of all of his bass strings, and he's pretty much out.
Yeah, that's what Jeremy was saying. He's like, I like one type of guitar strings, and I've pretty much bought all the ones Chris had. So
I just bought all of them.
Yeah.
I experimented.
Oh, nice. I mean,
I've spent a lot of money there.
Yeah.
Probably unhealthy for my age to spend that much money there.
Well,
no.
I mean, let me put it this way. When I was your age, the things I spent money on was probably a lot worse. I mean, let's just say I spent a lot of my money on soda and candy.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So, but you know.
I wouldn't be against that though. You know?
No, definitely not. But yeah, that's really cool that like, I never actually got to meet your grandpa too much, Tracy. I met him a couple times, and that's like, I hate to say I've only met him a couple times, but I only did meet him, I'd say less than 5 times my entire life. I saw him play a few times, but I was always just like, I'm nervous. I don't want to talk to this guy. He's good.
Oh, you're nervous.
You know, dude, believe it or not, I am. We were talking earlier today. I was just like, I used to be super, super confident. Just like,
Right.
I'm the man.
Yeah.
And then the more I got in the scene, I was just like, I am not the man.
I'm a man, but the other are men.
Yeah, they're so manly.
They're the manliest of manly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was just like, all right. And then I just kind of started hanging my head down and was just like, all right, I'll just be like, hey guys, you know, you're good.
But you get up there, you know? I mean,
It took a long time for me to get the guts to actually get up there, though.
well, these people used to be shy. Like Chris Carr used to be really shy, he told me, and he told me he was singing when he was young, and he wouldn't sing into the mic. And this guy he was playing with is like, you sing into the mic or I'll get someone up here who does want to sing. Ooh. And that kind of like pushed him. And now, you know, Chris is a legend around here.
Oh yeah, sings like a bird.
Absolutely. And then, you know, Jeremy Ober and you know, all of those guys, and you know, Caleb Ferry's probably one of the best drummers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Chris Carr is a really good drummer.
Yeah, actually, that's how Chris got started. Actually, was playing drums as far as I know. So it's so weird. There's so many drummers that switch to guitar afterwards. You know, I guess some of it is like you just got to bust out from behind the kit. You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're sitting all the time. You know, maybe you want to try something standing up.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of energy, I'm sure. You know, they're always bathing in sweat.
Yeah.
Afterwards, and I've been taking drum lessons because I really want to learn. And it's a pain on the foot, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, my foot hurts. It's an exercise.
Yeah, I learned quickly when I started playing drums, and I'm not good. I never took lessons, but like if your posture is bad when you're playing the drums, it's just like the wrong parts of your body hurt when you're done. You know, it's like this part of my hips hurt, and it's like why do your hips hurt when you're playing? You know, it's like you gotta have good posture, and it's all just core muscles for the most part. And I never really, I don't know. I should take lessons, but unfortunately, I've never taken a lesson in my life. So
Just for drums?
just for anything, honestly. I've never taken a guitar lesson. I've never taken.
Yeah, they make me nervous
Why is that?
because you know, if someone's teaching you, and I get, like, let's say, you know, I'm walking, I can walk fine on my own, but if someone told me walk in a straight line, I'll fuck up.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you know, if someone's giving me a guitar lesson, you know, they're like, put your fingers here, or do this. And I'm like, where am I supposed to put them, man?
Only use this finger on the G string, 7th fret, and you're just like,
I feel like you should find your own technique.
That's very true.
I mean, there's so much stuff on the internet now.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with taking lessons, you know, like, you know, Jeremy gives lessons, and it's good for some people because they can ask questions.
Yeah.
That you can't ask to a YouTube video person.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And I mean, that's one of those things where, I mean, I was talking about being shy. You know, when I was younger, I was like, I'm the greatest. And then when I realized there's other people that are better than me, it's just like, I was just like, I'm not talking to anyone. I'm just going to hide. I'm just going to slouch down and not do anything, you know? And I think that's one thing about, we're going to try and tie all this together. So Jeremy gives lessons to a kid named Eric, and Eric comes to jam nights, and he's a little bit shy, but I don't think he realizes that he's probably a better guitar player than I am.
He's really good. He unleashes sometimes, you know?
Yes.
You know, like when he's a jam night, he never really gets up there and improvises that much, but when he does, he really gets into it. And he's really good. He's doing a lot of stuff with his own band, Sunley Hollow.
Yep.
And he's, you know, his first show, he was a little shy, but he pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah.
And he even opened for Brutal Republic for a show. So
which is cool because I've never done that.
Yeah, I've never done that either.
You know, so but I think that's one of the things where like it's some of that like peer pressure, like people are around you and you're like, I don't want to do bad, and people are staring at me and they're gonna laugh if I play a wrong note or something. Because I mean, hell, I'm 33 and I still have that issue. So it's like eventually you're just like, I don't care.
Who cares if I mess up?
Yeah.
These people don't know what they're doing anyway.
Yeah, I always just laugh it off. It's just like, this is too funny. You guys hear that wrong note? Like, thumbs up.
I played it.
Back into it. Here we go.
That's right. I'm gonna play it again.
Yeah, play the wrong note twice. Then that's just jazz, baby.
Oh, it's jazz. Absolutely. That's what jazz is.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean,
If anyone that plays jazz is listening, I'm sorry. I feel like I offend people like Trevino.
yeah,
I mean, holy shit, his jazz skill is insane.
he's really good.
And
Yeah.
I've just started to get into jazz, and it's like, it's hard, man.
So and I think that's some of what we were talking about earlier, like just getting comfortable and like playing on stage and just having more of that experience on stage kind of makes you a little less like, ooh,
It does.
you know? And I mean, like I said, to an extent, I'm still like that. I don't know why, but like I am, I get nervous around people like I said, Jeremy Ober's really good. So like for a long time, if Jeremy was playing jam night, it was just like, I'm not playing after him. What are you kidding? Like,
Yeah, you just see him come in the door, and I'm like, oh shit,
Yep.
he's here now.
Yep, I guess I'm done playing.
I guess I'm
for the
done
night.
too.
Yep. So,
But people like that are really humble. You know,
Yeah.
you expect them to be like, oh yeah, I'm so good. If you mess up, you're awful. But it's not like that.
no.
Jeremy, he's really, if you go up and play with him, and if you don't know what you're doing, he'll tell you like, oh, I'm playing in this key, or
Yep.
this chord is next, or whatever.
Dude, he's one of the best at that.
He's really good at humbling people too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this kid's a monster, or oh, this kid's a monster.
Yeah. It's just like, you're just like kicking the dirt, like looking
oh,
down at the ground,
I'm
like,
a monster. Oh, no.
No, I'm not. I'm okay, I
Yeah.
guess, So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. That was one thing I really quickly learned about him. He's super, super nice. Like I used
Yeah.
to go to jam nights and up in Barnum, and he would just be like, hey, you want to come up here? And it's like, oh, no, I don't, not as good, And then like the one time he just like hands me the guitar and just walks away, and I'm like, oh,
what do I do?
And it's like, I guess I got to play this thing, or whatever. And I mean, even when he plays at jam nights, I try to just like let him do what he's doing, because I don't want to wreck his songs. Nothing against everyone else playing at jam night, but some songs that are played there are just like pretty basic,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's like 4 or 5
Like
chords.
4 chords,
Yeah.
and you do whatever.
Yep. But he's got stuff that's a little bit more intricate, and this has some chromatic runs in it or whatever. Or like a completely different bridge part than what the rest of the song is or whatever.
Yeah. Like his song Mardi Gras
Yep.
is really hard to play if you've never played it before.
Yes.
Because it's in one key for pretty much the whole thing, and then the solo part completely switches and goes into something else, and
But the other end of that is if you never take that leap to play with him the first time, you'll never figure out.
Yeah, you'll never get it.
Yeah.
If you play with people like that, you'll get better, and you'll develop your chops, and
Exactly.
you'll learn how to improvise. And before I went to the jam night, and before I was even in a band at all, I was just playing in my bedroom.
Yep.
Playing along the songs on YouTube. But you're not going to get anywhere just by doing that.
No, I mean, it doesn't hurt though.
It helps you prepare, but like I played metal,
Yep.
I played like Slipknot every day on just practicing those songs, and no one's going to play that at a jam night.
No, probably not.
So playing with other people, like with the music that you're not used to, like country music or folk music, it really helps you, even if you don't like it. It helps you get used to playing it.
I think one of the funnest parts about that is like, I'm not a fan of country or folk music, but I have so much fun playing it.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
Like with Jesse Wilson. I
Yeah.
mean, half the music I wouldn't listen to myself, but it's so fun playing with him, because he does his own spin on it, and he's not overbearing either. Yeah.
He's not like, you gotta play it like this.
Yeah,
you play the lead the way it's played in the studio version.
he lets you do your own thing,
Exactly.
and it's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think that's some of the best part about like the music scene around here is the people are pretty positive, nobody's really gets up anybody's butt about anything really.
Nah.
So,
Nah.
I mean, there's a little bit here and there about some stuff, but it's all just like mostly just friendly jabs.
Everyone knows each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all know what each other can take, or whatever, like,
Yeah.
it is really nice to have these people around too, and like you said about bedroom playing, like, I mean, that's all I did for quite a while until it was finally like, I guess like, let's play a show somewhere. And so we like, you try to play a show and you're like, this is way different than sitting down alone, in the basement here and playing guitar, like I can play down here all night long and it's not that big a deal. But when you go play in front of people, it's like those nerves kick in.
Oh yeah. Then you forget everything that you learned before.
Yep.
I mean, the first time I played with with Jeremy, I was like, oh no, what do I do? Should I try to impress him by playing flashy stuff, or should I try to just play the song the way it is, and maybe that'll make him happy?
Yeah.
I
think that's some things too, is some of that just takes experience, because your first times out there, like first times I was out there, I was like, I got to play lots of notes and play as fast as I can. And that's the only way anyone's going to be impressed by any of this.
Yeah. But that's not true. I mean, it's people aren't going to dance to you playing sweep notes and a bunch of chromatic notes really quickly, but it's fun to do.
It is fun to do. Yeah. I mean, that comes back to like just experience, like we were talking about with Eric. Like the more he plays at jam night, the more it's apparent that he's very good.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he's finding his comfort zone. He's sitting on stage, and like you said, he's even played a couple shows by himself or with Scotty Rockstar, or opened up for Brutal Republic, even,
which is a big deal, man.
To me, honestly, it is. He's got something on his list that I don't have on my list.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people like Jeremy and his band Brutal Republic. It's like I put those guys in the same league as like a big band, this is like Zeppelin, they deserve to be famous like that. I feel like,
they make a lot of noise for a 3-piece.
They do. But it's a matter of luck, I mean, a record producer might have to walk in at a certain point, or just the right person might have to be listening, and but their album Full White Moon is one of my favorite albums ever.
That's very good.
It's it's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where if you're just like, this was made by a band out of Fort Dodge, and people just be like,
Yeah. Oh, what's that?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's a small town. It's just pretty neat, huh? Like,
yeah. No, it's not.
So how did you get good at the bass? Because let me just like preface some of this stuff. You and I play guitar and bass with Jesse Wilson Music. We are like the friends of Jesse Wilson and Friends. I mean, the benefit of all this is if I can't make a show, he'll bring somebody else with. If you can't bring a show or can't make a show, maybe it's just a duo. Maybe he'll bring a different bassist with, or like for a while I was playing bass with him, so his friends list can change at any given show, which is kind of the fun part about what he does.
Jesse Wilson and Friends, anybody.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. So, but how did, like, I saw you at Jam Night. Obviously, you're really good. Some of the first stuff you started playing that made me be like, what? I was like, it's just like, this kid's busting out Primus. And for people that don't know what Primus is, it's pretty much like banjo bass.
Yeah,
like,
it's banjo bass.
It's wild. Lots of like finger picky, slappy, strumming chords on a bass stuff.
And, playing like that it's really hard to get an audition for you, because a lot of bands aren't looking for that.
Yeah.
But no, I started bass. My grandpa got me in the guitar because at our church we have, a worship team, and this was before I was on it. And my grandpa would lead the worship team, and they wanted to start a youth band to quote unquote replace the old guys. So grandpa wanted me to get into guitar, so he started giving me lessons, and I was just really lazy. I didn't really care. I like listening to music, but I didn't feel like it. And then I'm like, oh, I want to be a musician. I heard bass is easy. So, and I thought it was just standing there, doing the finger thing and whatever. But then I actually got the bass, and there's so much to the instrument that a lot of people don't know about.
I like to say playing the bass is easy, but playing the bass well is not easy.
Exactly. That's what I say. The basics are absolutely easier than guitar.
A billion times over.
It's just one note per thing, but there's so many techniques. You have like chords, and you can even play flamenco or tapping or whatever. And, playing like that in every song isn't going to work out.
No.
Those are the complex techniques of it.
Yeah.
And learning that stuff is a lot of fun, and just, playing along the songs on YouTube was like the easiest way to learn for me.
So you get started out playing at a church, which ironically was like the first place I ever played. Played guitar at a church, but you didn't really take to guitar. You kind of took to bass. You get the basics down. How do you go from, like, what are the steps you took to go from basic finger walking, just playing quarter notes the whole time to all of a sudden you're playing Primus? Like, how do you bridge that gap?
Well, just listening to a bunch of difficult music is what I did. I listened to like Mudvayne was one band I used to listen to, and their bass player is just insane.
Oh yeah.
His name is Ryan Martini.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he plays the bass is just magical. So I started looking up tabs and lessons and bass covers and trying to play along to him. And I just played all the time. You know, I play like 3 hours a day and then again at nighttime.
Yep.
And just the more you play, the better you get. I mean, some people say, oh, it's a natural gift to be like a god at guitar or a god at whatever. But anyone can do it if they practice.
I would have to agree for the most part. I would say some people might have like a better inclination to take to the thing.
They might learn it faster.
Yep.
But really anyone can play an instrument or sing if they really want to.
Yeah. I mean, that comes down to like, you know, it's like riding a bike or like you said earlier, walking, you know, like if everybody can walk, but when you first started, you couldn't. It's the same deal with like talking. When Victor Wooten actually had a really good, I think it was a TED talk that he did about that. And he translated like him playing the bass to talking.
Yeah. He's a deep guy.
Yeah. So it's like when you first start talking, it's just a bunch of mush-mouthy goo goo gaga nonsense. But when you first start saying your first words, people are like, woo!
Yeah.
You know, and then before you know it, you're stringing sentences together. And then before it's complex thoughts and full conversations. And then you're deepening your vocabulary just one word at a time.
And then you speak like a person.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with playing an instrument.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Victor is insane. I mean, he's probably the best bass player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he has a bunch of talks on YouTube where he gives these motivational speeches. Like there's this one video where he's giving a speech while playing bass and it's like 20 minutes long. And people like that are really inspiring.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So you pretty much just went the YouTube route with like, learning how to do stuff.
Yeah, YouTube and just playing a lot.
I feel like that's one of the things I always ask people on the podcast, like, how did you get so good? And it's like, I play like 6 hours a day for like years and years on it. It's like, oh, okay. So you're not just like sitting down, like watching an episode of Friends just with your feet up, just like plop, 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 plop. You know, you're actually taking the time to key in on what you're doing.
Mm. Well, I didn't learn about the notes on the neck until way later.
Yeah.
You know, because my grandpa was talking to me. He's like, if you learn all the notes on the neck, I'll buy you this bass. And I'm like, okay. You know, I remember I was at church. It was the first time I was playing bass for him. And, you know, I was in the metal at the time. So we were playing like drop tunings or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the worship leader goes up to me. He's like, hey, this song is in the key of C. And I'm like, oh, drop C? Okay. And I start trying to tune down to it. And he's like, no, the key of C.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, because, I know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. But pause not.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And that's the other thing is like I've played enough types of music where when people are just like, it's in the, you know, the key of C, it's like major or minor,
mm-hmm.
you know? So like I'm to the point now where it's like, if somebody doesn't say something, like my brain is so keyed in on blues stuff where I think minor most of the time.
Mm.
So it's like, well, it's in the key of C. It's like C minor. And it's like, oh no, you mean C major, which is A minor, you know? So then like, that's where my brain has to like wrap its head around that just a little bit. And then I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. You know?
Right.
So, you know, some of that just comes down to like people's inclinations to play things too, though. And I've found out like through the years that like sometimes it's like, this is in this key. It's like, well, you can solo in a different key or goof around a little bit. And it's like, it actually works out, you know, for the most part. You and I would play with Jesse sometimes and I'd be like, dude, I soloed in 3 different keys. And like,
holy shit.
Yeah. Like you couldn't even tell though. Cause like the first one was a mistake,
but it worked.
But it worked because it just fit. And then the next one was just like, oh, it's in this key. And then I'm like, well, what if I do it in this key instead? And it's like, well, that one works. And I guess if you split the solos far enough apart from one another, nobody can tell, you know? Yeah. So I don't know. There is like different things about like learning the notes or learning the keys or whatever, but you do play a lot by ear though.
I do. I mean, you know, there's so many scales out there, you know, like Phrygian scales and Mixolydian and whatever. I just go off, you know, minor and major. You know what I mean? Or like chromatic notes. You know, that's a jazzy thing.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so much to music theory that is important and is not important. You know, it kind of limits you. Yeah. Some of the music theory because like, you have to play like this.
That's true.
And but there's just so many ways to approach each instrument. But you have to, you know, you can't like play Primus if you're playing in a country band.
Yeah.
You know,
Doesn't really fit too well.
no. So you have to learn different styles, and even if you don't like the style, you learn the style anyway.
Exactly. I would think of it like cooking. It's like if you want to be a really, really good chef, you can't just like make Mexican food all day long.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, you get really good at Mexican food, but it's like someone's like, fix me some Italian, and you're like, I don't even know how to make pizza dough, you know, or whatever, you know. So you're like missing out on all the basics of like something else. You know? I mean, I'm not a good chef, so I don't know.
Yeah, I
but,
can't
like,
no either.
No, frozen pizza. Thank you, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gourmet frozen pizza.
Oh my gosh, Jack's Pizza.
DiGiorno.
DiGiorno. They got me beat once again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so weird though that like you play by ear and you like I've noticed that a lot. Like we'll be playing something and you'll just be like, "What key are we in?" And I'm just like, "Wait, I have to tell you how to do something? This is mind blowing." Because
Oh, dude.
I mean,
It depends. You know, if people play in like a flat note, it's hard for me to find, or a sharp note or whatever. Like, but no one really plays in those keys that often. You know, the most popular are like E minor,
yep,
or G major. You know, most of Jesse's songs are in a major key.
yep,
You know, so you just, you know, like River Road.
yep,
I think that's in G major. So you just
yep,
whatever.
yep.
But a lot of it's by ear. I don't really know anything about music. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff is hard to learn.
That does make sense though. Now that you say that, because it's like if we throw a capo on 4, and all of a sudden you're just like, wait, what key are we in here? And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. So like, I guess it kind of makes sense now because it's just like, yeah, this song is, instead of being an E minor, it's in like, you know, G sharp minor. And it's
Right,
like,
right.
And it's like, wait a second, that's not something I'm used to hearing that much.
Yeah,
You know, so.
it's hard to find people that play in different keys at all. You know, I mean, capos are a big part of change. I mean, I don't really know anything about how capos work. You just, you know, capo like second, and then it be a different key but the same shapes.
Yeah, you can play all the same chord shapes,
Right.
and it's like all of a sudden magically it's just a different key. You know, and that's like some of the trick of like folk singers. You know, a lot of the folk singers will do that, and they'll just be like, "Well, we're playing on the 4th, you know, capo on the 4th fret, or capo on the 5th, or on the 3rd, or whatever." They just flip flop it around here, or there, wherever they want to put it, and I mean, just go from there. So. I don't know. Like it took me a while. First and foremost, I'm going to admit it though. Like when I first went to jam nights and somebody busted a capo out, I was just like, what are we doing?
It's scary.
Yeah, it is. It honestly is really scary. And then before long, you're just like, oh, okay, I got this. Here we go. But you know, it is something that a lot of people do struggle with to play. You know, either rhythm guitar to or leads with or something like that. It's just like, oh no, what do we?
You have a great ear, man. I mean, you adjust to that stuff really quickly. You know, when we're playing a jam night and Clint capos a lot.
Yeah.
You know, he plays, you know, the same songs in different keys in different ways, which is what I really like about Clint's music. It's like different every single time. So, but you go up there and you pretty much instantly got it. And it's like, how do you have an ear like that? And it's like, whoa.
So here's the weird thing. Like, I think a lot of mine is more mechanics than an ear because like I almost don't even want to admit it. I don't have a very good ear for music, honestly. I very much don't. Like I can hear when notes are wrong and stuff, or like I'm playing wrong stuff. Like that's blatantly obvious. But I have to be like capo 4th fret, these 3 chords, and I can go like this, and here's where the notes should be, and then boom, and then I just go from there. You know. So like my brain sees shapes on a guitar more than my ear hears notes on a guitar.
Oh, that makes sense.
And so like that's where I go with a lot of my music playing, which, you know, can be beneficial and detrimental depending on how you're doing things too though. So like I would kill to have as good of an ear for music as you do. But for some reason I don't.
Well, people say I really appreciate that people say that, but it's like it's really hard for some songs, man. You know, like especially with capos. That's why I'm like, oh no, you're bringing out a capo? Shit, what do I do now?
Well, it's really wild when people like throw in like way up on the 9th fret or something.
Yeah, like 12th fret or whatever.
Yeah,
and
even me, I'm just like, whoa, okay, hold on.
it takes me it takes us both a second to get there. It's
yeah. And then, you know, it's funny too, because when you play with different people and they'll explain music, like there's a billion different ways to explain music. One general set of, like you said, rules that you can apply to it.
Right.
But like Brad will be like, you start on the 6th and then you play the 5th and then the 1st and then the 4th. And it's like, what? Like,
what the hell is that?
yeah. And like if you gave me a pen and a piece of paper, I could figure this out. But like on the fly, no, I just have to like look over and be like, what's the shapes I got to use here? Where do I got to put them in? And you know, so that's what a lot of that is. But
well, that's where theory can help. If you know a bunch of theory, then you don't need, you know, you look at them and it's like, okay, or you could just name it yourself and figure it out. but
Yeah, me and Brad argue about that a lot too, about theory, because he's like, "Where's the home on this?" It feels like it would be the A, but is it the A or is it the E? And I'm like,
"Where's home base, man?"
Yeah, it could be anywhere you want to put it, Brad. It's anywhere you want to put it. He's like, "Yeah, but if they're singing the notes, in theory, what you would want to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, but
in theory,
there's no rules to this, though." Like,
well, Brad, he's a really smart guy, like I said before.
Very much, yeah.
I mean, he knows a lot of things, and he's a great bass player, and he's great with audio stuff. I don't know the term for studio work or whatever.
Yeah.
But whenever Brad comes to jam night, he's so technical with the stuff he's talking about, and I usually understand what he's saying.
Yeah, the basics.
The basics. But when he gets into talking about sound and stuff, I have trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about, and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get and that's the same deal too. It's like I understand the gist of what he's going for, but sometimes he just loses me, and I'm like, my eyes just glaze over. I'm like, yeah. Oh, dude, that is cool. That's really cool.
Awesome. I agree, man. I'm sorry, Brad.
I think it's funny because the two of you have such like a good relationship with one another.
He's
for having,
awesome.
Such different styles of bass.
Well, he's really melodic. I love his style of playing. Clint just calls him to do a solo, and his solo fits perfectly with what Clint is doing.
Yeah.
You don't see many bass players playing lead. So, really the only people I've seen play lead are Brad and Trevino.
Yeah.
I mean, no one else wants to play lead on bass.
Well, as far as I know, you're like pretty much the only three bassists around town for the most part. And there's a few others, but like, yeah, and all three of you, for the most part, play leads to some extent on your bass.
I'm sure there's someone else that does it too, but not that I've seen.
Yeah. I mean,
and I've been in the music scene for a while, but not I've really got into it this past year because of the jam night.
Yep. Yeah, having you at jam night's pretty awesome because I used to have to drag a bass guitar and an amp and a guitar and a guitar amp, and it's like, is anybody going to show up? And I don't know, and then you started showing up, and it was just like, man, I don't get to play much bass anymore because his kid's showing up or whatever. And then it's like, oh, this kid's good. And it's like, oh, he's bringing his own equipment. It's like, sweet, I don't have to bring half as much stuff anymore, So like,
you can play bass whenever you want to, Peter.
But that's another funny thing. Like, let's talk about that. So like, you're there now, and you're like the Jeremy Ober of bass. And that's
a big one.
I'm just gonna throw that out there because you're the kid that makes me nervous at bass. So it's like, I'm not playing bass if Owen's playing bass.
Well, that's a big boy thing to say, man. I mean, thanks.
Yeah. And it's also one of those things, and I'm not trying to call him out, but Brad doesn't ever want to come on the podcast, so he can't defend himself.
Sorry, Brad.
But Brad's pretty much just like, Owen plays a lot of notes, and then it's just like Brad's going up there, and Brad just plays basic stuff, And that's just like how he kind of like thinks about it. So he's like, well, when Owen's there, I just let Owen play as much as he wants to, because then so and I'm not trying to say like he thinks he's bad and you're good, but it's just like two different styles.
He's a great player, but his style is a lot different than mine,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, really melodic. But if anyone else wants to play bass, I'm always calling out to you or Brad. Like, Peter, you want to play bass? Or Brad, you want to play bass?
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's fun though too. Like the different styles is not something to be looked down upon.
No,
it's
not.
To be
it's awesome.
Looked up to,
It's variety. If someone played the same thing, it's it doesn't matter if it's a different person or not. Like so many people want to be like Slash.
Yeah.
So everyone sounds like Slash, and it's like, that's fun, but try to find your own style.
Yeah. And I'm sure Brad wants to. I want to be able to play all these like, weird augmented chords on the upper end of the neck while I'm slapping on the, and it's like, but at the same time, it's just like, I'm sure you're kind of like, I wish I could play some of these slow melodic solos
really
like
smooth.
he does.
He's really smooth.
Very smooth.
And I can't get smooth like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to be smooth.
It is hard to be smooth, and Brad is smooth.
He's very smooth.
Very smooth. Oh, man. But okay, so I'm not trying to call Brad out or anything, but it is kind of fun to know that like you two kind of look up to each other in a sense, So, but some of it comes from the different stylings.
Well, yeah. I mean, he every time he has all these different basses that he brings with him. He brought a fretless bass the last time, and he played it, and then I played it, and it's just like, I don't think I'm better than Brad. I mean, Brad is, he plays differently, and sure, his stuff might be simpler, but it's really he accents it really well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think he plays a lot better with Clint's music than I do with Clint's music.
There's a lot of that though too. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, pepperoni tastes good on pizza, but doesn't taste good in Jello.
No,
it's
it
like,
doesn't.
So
That's fun.
I don't know. I'm an analogy guy, so I like to break things down into easy to digest analogies.
Yeah, that's easy to understand.
But and that's the truth though. Like I said, the both of you guys look up to each other for the different stylings you have. Like you said, some of what he does and plays is more simple, but the phrasing is fits better into what he's doing.
I've never heard him mess up before.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is he like almost never messes up.
Yeah.
And the only time he messes up is honestly like I heard him a couple weeks ago mess up pretty bad, but it was because like I walked up and just turned his volume knob off like halfway through a song, and I don't know why I was just
sabotaged him.
Yeah, just like womp, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And then he like goes back. He's like, "I'm all messed up now."
Shit, where am I?
Yeah, so it was pretty funny to have him go through all that kind of stuff. But
damn it, Peter.
But I guess it is to each their own or whatever. But and that's something I tried to look at with like guitar too, where it's like there's no reason for me to be nervous because I can't play like Jeremy Ober does, and it's not like Jeremy Ober can't play like I can, but Jeremy Ober can't play like I can. It's like his brain doesn't think of the phrasing my brain thinks of. It does it mean I'm better? No. Does it mean I'm worse? No. Does it mean I'm better at phrasing stuff? Absolutely not. But it's different. It's different things.
Different. You guys are a lot different. And
yeah.
I think you're really good, and Jeremy's really good too. But he's like a shredder.
Oh gosh, yeah, he can play a lot of notes.
Yeah, I mean he and you're melodic as well, I think. And you can, I mean, I've seen you shred though. Towards the end of a Jesse Wilson show, you start doing a bunch of shit, and I look over to you, I'm like, holy shit, Peter.
Yeah, I try and keep it in my back pocket if I can though, because like you said, it for the most part doesn't fit what we're doing.
Yeah, right.
So if I was like to bust that out in the middle of Come Back Home by Jesse Wilson, it's like, what? Like,
what the hell's going on?
Yeah, why are you tapping solo like Eddie Van Halen in this?
It's a metal song now?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But, But I guess for some reason I think it fits in like a '60s rock song though.
Yeah. It could, like Chuck Berry or whatever.
Yeah.
Or some old blues stuff, which is stuff like that is really fun to learn. Like if you're just starting to get into guitar, blues is a great way to do it because it's usually just the same 12 bar like 3-note type of thing.
Yep.
And it's really fun to improv too because the back part is simple, so you can do more things.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a pretty good blues scene around here.
Yeah. The guys who are actually like very dedicated blues players are insanely good.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not all of them are like up in this area, but like Matt Woods is from like the Boone-ish.
I've only seen him once, but he's awesome.
Oh god, yeah, he's super good, and he's one of those guys that like we were talking about different styles. He doesn't just play like blues. He plays like roots music and like everything else in that genre. So he can go from like playing like blues rock to like traditional blues to like Delta blues to your roots music to finger picking or using a pick or whatever and. It's wild to think that there's people out there that play that much, but he's not much different than you because if you like go on Matt Woods' Facebook page or his band page, it's like Matt Woods is live right now and it's 12:20 and it's like it's because he just got done eating lunch and he has a little bit of a break, so this is what he's doing, So he's always playing, he's always thinking about it, he's always practicing and trying new things, and
that's how you get good.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it's the more you play, the better you'll be. I mean, you can probably get good in 24 hours. Not saying you should practice for 24 hours, but maybe you should.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, like let's say you have no idea what you're doing, but you want to learn this really hard song, like Victor Wooten. There was this interview, and he wanted to learn one of Jacko's songs, Jacko Pastorius. I think it was Portrait of Tracy. I'm not sure, but he stayed up for the entire day learning how to play this song. He didn't know how to play bass yet, and he learned it.
Oh wow!
And he learned that much in one day.
Oh, that makes me think of something. So when I was first starting to play guitar, I didn't know what was like easy or hard, and I didn't really have anyone to give me lessons. So I just kind of went on the internet and just kind of blindly was like, this, and you just start like looking stuff up, and before you know it, you're like learning like Steve Vai passages and things like that. Maybe not all the super shreddy technical parts, but you're starting to like learn some like stuff where it's like, the more you grow and learn more about your instrument, you're like, that was actually pretty difficult. And for some reason, when I was growing up and I didn't know any better, I was just like playing it. So have you ever found that where like when you first started playing bass, where you're just like, like, I want to learn this Primus song. And then people are just like, how do you know how to play Primus? And you're like, I don't know. Is that hard? And people are like, yeah, it's really hard. And you're just like, nobody told me it was hard, you know?
Well, their music, for a beginner bass player is pretty hard, but they do have some songs that are actually pretty easy, like My Name is Mud is probably one of the more popular songs, and everyone's like, oh, this song is insanely hard to play. And it's really just 2 notes.
Yeah.
And, there's rhythmic parts in it too, but the base of it, like the basic notes are really easy, But then again, you have really, really hard songs out there that are really hard to learn. But if you manage to learn a song like that, it makes you grow so quickly, But a lot of people try to learn a hard song. They try to play it fast immediately, on drums or something like that.
Yep.
You have to start slow, but
yeah, you and I were talking on the way here. I was like, yeah, I was in a metal band or whatever, and it was a little bit more progressive style of metal, and I was not super. I don't want to say I wasn't very technically savvy at playing a guitar yet. I played, like I said, I played a lot of, bar chords or like, just power chords, punk music, things like that, simple leads and stuff like that. But then it's just like, dude, this is a little bit more technical. And I had to slow stuff down to like 50% in order to start like wrapping my brain around it, and I was like, I feel like, such a dullard having to do this. And then you go like look online, you're like, oh, there's a lot of people that do this. This isn't just like Peter sucks the guitar,
Oh no, everybody struggles a little bit. I mean, everyone was a beginner at some point. And no matter how good you get, there's always something to learn.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more things that Jeremy could learn if he wanted to, or even Alex could learn if he wanted to. He went to Berkeley and stuff. But, I don't think people are like, oh, this is the best guitar player I've ever seen. There's millions of guitar players. Like some people say Slash there's no one better than Slash.
Yeah.
The people that like don't play guitar, but just,
Yeah.
But there's so many people out there, especially right now, like online too, like the YouTube scene. There's so many content creators out there that make some pretty cool music with actual instruments.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, wow.
Do you feel like playing instruments is a dying art? Let me put it this way: I'm in my early 30s. You're in your late teens, mid to late teens. So like, is there anybody else your age playing music?
Nobody plays music. Well, actually, no. And well, Eric does.
Yep. But he's
he just started too. I mean, well, not just started, but he's been doing it for like a year, I think.
He's already that good after a year.
Yeah. So like,
I quit.
No, he's learning fast. But Lars Frazier.
All right.
I don't know if you know him. He's another one close to my age. He's really, really good with metal stuff. But I don't really have that many friends right now my own age. I used to, but they're not into that type of music. They're like Gucci Gang and Lil Nas and stuff like that.
Stuff that involves digital manipulation of keyboardy MIDI type whatever stuff.
And I appreciate I like industrial music, the scores in action movies that stuff like that. That stuff's cool. Like what's that? There's this one band that's just it's super techno sounding, and it sounds like it belongs in some type of movie, but like electronic type of music like that. Like some of that's cool.
All I can think of is Skrillex.
Yeah. Skrillex is, that's like dubstep.
Yeah.
And some of that's cool.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't see many young people playing instruments anymore.
Why do you think that is?
Well, it's because of the music now. Most of the popular music is all like Ariana Grande, she doesn't really play an instrument. She just sings, and she's a really good singer actually, but you don't see that many people that are really, really popular or that would be popular to today's teens playing an instrument.
Yeah. I mean,
or not that I can think of. I mean, maybe there is, but
there's like a few here and there, but even then it's like Ed Sheeran, like,
well, he just plays, it's like campfire chords.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Which there's nothing wrong with
Which
that.
is nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it. You know, I mean, you know, you can make some awesome music with just a few chords.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you don't need to be insane at an instrument to make good music.
No.
But and some kids will look at that like, oh, I want to learn guitar. But others just aren't into it. They want to make like rap music. And I'm not,
Yep.
you know, shit talking rap music, but that kind of is the main type of music now. At least I think it is.
Yeah, something like that, you know, rap or R&B or hip hop or things in that genre-ish.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people really, really are keying in on. And I get what you're saying, though, too. Like, if somebody came up to you and me right now and was just like, oh, and Peter, make a rap song, it would be the crappiest,
Oh, it'd be
the,
shit.
the worst rap song
It'd be
anybody
garbage.
ever made ever.
Absolutely.
So there is talent involved to make
There
a good
is
rap
talent.
song. Yeah.
It's like, you know, some of the lyrics, well, not all the lyrics, because a lot of them are just about sex.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really cool rap songs that I've heard, and they rap really fast, or, you
Yep.
know, they come up with these. I mean, I can't do that.
No. I think some of my favorite lyrics that people use with like R&B and hip hop and rap are like when they use analogies to describe
yeah.
things. And I'm like, oh, I would have never thought of that,
I
you know, or whatever.
can't write music for shit.
I'm not a lyricist even a little bit.
Oh no,
so
I can't do that.
I'm always blown away when people come up with really good lyrics, or I'll just
yeah.
be like, this one line in this song
Yeah.
blew my mind, you
Yeah.
know? And
All it takes is one line, and you're like, how does this person come up with these analogies or words? Or, you know, if I sat down with a notepad and tried to write a song, it would take me at least 24 hours to get like a sentence down
yeah, well, yeah.
that would appeal to people.
Yeah, and I've written some songs. I don't like them. I'm not good. You know, some of it just takes practice.
I'm
I
sure
get
they're
it.
great, Peter.
Oh man. But I don't know. I wrote a song recently, and I was just like, what kind of chords do I put to this? So I put some chords to it, and I was like, the chords just don't fit the feeling of the song. So I just eventually retired to the fact it was like 12-bar blues, good enough. Like,
Yeah.
So I just like restructured the lyrics around 12-bar blues. I'm like, there you go, that's a song. Just play it in G, whatever.
There's
who
a
cares?
blues song right there.
Yeah, you know. So just make it basic, but it's
But
also
everyone likes blues, though.
they do for the most part. I mean, I've gotten some guff for playing 2-minute like bluesy stylings with the way I play my leads, but it's what I like to play, you know, and it's
Well, play what you like. You know? I mean,
exactly.
but also make sure it's in a way that other people enjoy it, too.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
I mean, yeah, that comes back to like you can't play folk music and do like sweep picking and like heavy arpeggios and stuff.
No, I kind of want to hear what that would sound like, though. But
I've heard it at a few jam nights. Like I've been going to jam nights off and on for about 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years. And, you know, for a long time I just sat and watched, you know, and it wasn't until Jeremy Ober and Clint Riedel like really kind of pushed me to go up there. They're like, you're good. You play in private with us. Why don't you just go up there and play in front of other people? And it's like, because I can't take the criticism. If somebody criticizes me,
I'm done.
I'm going to cry and
Yeah.
throw my guitar out in the street.
I'm quitting.
Yeah. And so like I eventually got over that, you know, but I've still been criticized by people to the point where like I had somebody criticize my singing capabilities and I was just like, well, I'm not going to sing anymore then, you know? And so I just didn't sing for a long time, you know, but
You can't let that get to you, man. And if anything, you know, it can influence you to get better at that thing.
yes.
You know? But I got to say, if someone said, oh, you're shit, it would hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely would. I had somebody come up and shush me like halfway through a song, and I was just like, "What is this nonsense?" You know?
You told me about that.
Yeah.
That was funny.
And I was very sad. I was very sad,
Yeah.
and then I was very mean about it, and then I was just like, "Oh, now I feel bad about being mean," and I hope they feel bad about being mean too, though. You know, because that really messed me up. You know, for a while, I was just like, I sang with Jesse, backup singing for a while, and then I was just like, I'm not bringing a microphone with me ever again, you know, anywhere I go. You know, and so then I just quit backup singing. You know, and I mean, I even play in a punk band, and like backup singing in a punk band takes about 1 iota of talent. That's about all the talent it takes to back up sing in
Really?
a punk band. Like, especially the kind of stuff we're doing. Like key, no, it's like nobody does any of that with the singing in a punk band. Everyone just yells their stuff out or whatever and calls it good, you know. And for a while, I was just like, I'm not even back up singing in this, you know.
Oh, dude.
And so, but
Well, you can't let people like that, like I said, get to you.
yeah, I mean,
It's very easy to let it happen, though.
yeah, it's also pretty easy to shit on things. That it's a lot harder to compliment things, you know.
It is. I find myself shitting on a lot of things, and then I'm like, well, I try to understand it, though, you know?
Bingo. What's the other side of the coin that I'm not seeing?
Yeah, exactly. You know, like a lot of people that that play an instrument are like, oh, today's music is complete garbage. It's not real music, but it does move some people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, obviously, because it's popular music. But a lot of people dance to it and they really enjoy it. And, you know, I don't think I'll ever understand why Gucci Gang is a huge song or, you know, but some people are into it and they like it. So, you know, more power to them.
Yeah. I mean, and I get that too, though. It's just, I just like to tell myself, this wasn't made for me. You know, somebody made this for somebody else.
Yeah, it's not my music.
Yeah. It's not my music. You know, I'm more of a, you know, metal, punk, and blues guy, and you know, you're more of a Primus and metal and whatever guy and stuff. And it's like, but it also comes back to the fact where it's like you and I play what I would call predominantly country styles with Jesse,
and then blues here and there.
Yeah,
you know,
but Jesse also does throw in like some hip hop songs and stuff every now and then.
Justin Bieber. I'm like,
yeah.
I remember when I heard Jesse's like, oh, we're playing a Justin Bieber song. I'm like, what? And then he plays it. It's like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like this.
Yeah,
you know, and you know, I've grown out of the metal phase, but you know, if I see someone playing metal, you know, I'm gonna like it probably.
Yep.
And even Jesse, you know, Jesse's so open to playing anything. Like I was talking to him on our way to Altoona, and I was like, "Would you ever think about learning a jazz song, Jesse?" And he's like, "I'm open to anything, man. I'll learn some jazz."
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Jesse. He's so motivational.
Yeah.
I mean, I look up to him a lot. He's always trying new things, and he's gotten his name up there.
Yeah.
So he's opening for the Pork Tornadoes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something
like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, Mike Schulte hit me up and was like, who plays music up there? And I gave him a list.
Yeah.
And I was just like, here's the list. Here's the styles they play. And I was just like, you know, this person plays this style. This person's this style. These, you know, these kind of people like this music and those kind of people like this music and blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, let's give Jesse a shot. And I was like, neat. I play with Jesse, you know? So it was just like, this is cool. You know, it kind of all worked out in this magical kind of a sense or whatever. So it's neat that he's getting that shot to play with the Pork Tornadoes. They're like such an amazing
They're
band.
pretty big, man.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know like who they were until Jesse told me about them, and then I looked up a video and they had like 5 million views.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah,
they're pretty big.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I guess they're pretty good.
I guess they're okay.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like running into those guys, literally, like I ran into Mike Schulte, their drummer, on the internet just from doing my podcast, and he just like hit me up and was like, hey. And I was like, hey, you know, like, holy cow, I didn't know my podcast had the kind of reach where somebody like him could figure it out or whatever.
Well, it does. No one else does what you do. You interview all these local people that deserve to be interviewed. Mm-hmm. And really no one else is doing that. I mean, maybe, you know, Josh on the local radio around here. Mm-hmm. But you're doing it for everybody.
Yeah, I'm trying my best,
you
know. And like I said, Mike Schulte from the Pork Tornadoes actually has a podcast called The Iowa Music Podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like, but he only does like one episode a month or so, you know, and sometimes he'll interview more famous people or less famous people, or he'll just tackle topics as opposed to trying to discuss what things are going on. But that's one of my favorite things about bringing him on my podcast is it's just like the last time he was on, it was like, why should there always be a cover charge at shows now? And he's like, yeah, there should never be free shows anymore. I'm like, I never really thought about it like that, you know? And especially if you're doing like, but that's just kind of like his deal. And there's like other sort of music podcasts around like here and there, but they're so sporadically putting out their episodes that, which is nothing wrong with that, you know? No. I find it difficult to do one a week, honestly.
Yeah. But, you know, well, it kind of makes it more special, I guess, too. 'Cause, you know, it's like, there's a new Audible Farm thing. I wonder who it is.
Yeah, every Thursday there's going to be one.
Yeah, and then you see who it is, and like, oh, I actually know this person, but I don't know a lot about him. And it's a great way to get to know people just by listening to it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's crazy. I can't believe how many people listen to it. Not every week is like a smash hit or whatever, but, you know, it is kind of neat to know that, like, there's that kind of a reach, you know, and people do hit me up. Like, I had promoter in Davenport ask me about like what kind of metal bands are in the central Iowa area that might be willing to travel. I just gave him a list of 20. I was like, here's 20 that I know of. I don't know if anybody will travel. I don't know if they made it through COVID. You know, I don't, but hit them up.
But they reached out to you because you know all these people.
Apparently, you know, and that's pretty cool, honestly, that I never really think of myself as somebody to know all this stuff, but I should try and find a better way to monetize all this, honestly, you know?
Well, I do agree with that. I feel like, you know, you could, there's so many sites to put videos on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like you could really get pretty big if you expand it. You know what I mean? Or even posting it on Facebook too.
Yeah.
Could put in a lot more listeners, because this podcast deserves to be big.
Yeah, I put the video clips on Facebook. Like the whole episodes, a lot of it's just for me to keep my statistics all in order, because it's like, well, how many listens did this get? And it's like, well, on these platforms this, but on YouTube that. And then but if I had started putting it on like everything else, like Instagram and Facebook, it'd be like, but on Facebook I got this many, but on Instagram I got this many, or whatever. But it starts to get a little bit overwhelming, when you start uploading it to all these different places, and I don't know, it is what it is. But it's just kind of crazy, like how weird is it that music brings people like you and me together? Because I don't think that you and I would ever once have run into each other or known who each other was.
If it wasn't for music, probably not. And that's what I love about music.
Or even just the jam night in Barnum, tiny little town in Barnum.
It's just a small little place, but it's a great place to meet people, and even a place to kind of explore your own instrument too with other people.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean like, if you're completely new and someone's playing a song, you go up and try to ruin it by, like playing a bunch, like trying to figure it out. Like there's nothing wrong with, oh, I think I'm good enough to do this now. Maybe I'll go up and try it. But play quietly, a little bit, and then when you get it, then start playing loud.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a great place to meet people and to get used to playing with people live in front of an audience. And
that's a lot of what it is.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to like come back to people like you and Eric who are younger, where it's just like the only thing that you guys have that you're missing in your arsenal is exposure to playing with other people and in front of people. That's it.
It is.
And as soon as you guys have more experience in that, unstoppable.
I hope it'll be like that, but it is really hard to get into a band at our age, because, some bars don't let young people in, or some need a proof of ID. I find that most places around here let people in. I've played at, like Bootleggers, which is a good place. It's a nice place. And, back with Beaver Creek, I would play in bars all around Iowa they probably thought I was 21. But,
Well, some of it comes down to like some cities have ordinances that say yes or no, and some don't, and some places they care, and some places they don't. But like, if people knew you, they'd know you're trustworthy. You're not going to go in some place and get all wasted and puke in the street and drive your car home because you don't even have a license.
I don't have a license.
No,
I don't have a license,
and it's not for any reasons bad. It's just you just don't have one.
So yeah, I don't have a license, by the way. Yeah. Almost there.
Yes. Oh, really? I can't wait for that.
Well, almost to the permit.
Well, you got to start somewhere. Everyone's got to start somewhere, though.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's actually something else in your like age group of people who are like, in the graduating ish class that are like, there's a lot of people that don't have licenses, and it's I mean,
well, I've seen people that are 19 without a license, and
I know somebody who's 25 that doesn't have one.
Well, I definitely want to get my license before at least 19.
Yeah.
I want to drive around and stuff. But there's nothing wrong with, some people don't want to, and some people don't even need to.
Dude, I would pretty much trade a license to be as good at playing an instrument as you are, though.
Oh, dude, that's still pretty big, dude. I think I'd rather have a car. But, I mean, I just really enjoy playing it and playing it with people. And sometimes I get nervous. I'm like, there's a line of, when do you be flashy and when do you just stay back a little bit? Mm-hmm. And I definitely struggle with that sometimes, because sometimes I go on stage and I tell myself, I'm like, I'm just going to relax. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, and like just start doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. Yeah.
And that's just one of those experience things like we were talking about earlier. The more experience you have, the more you'll find out like, oh, this is where the flashy bits fit in best.
And this is where you shouldn't do it. You know, it's like a conversation, you got to let other people talk, So I when someone is playing a lead, I try to play really simple while they're playing a lead. And then, when it's your turn, do whatever you want. Yep. But it's like, don't talk over somebody.
I think you and I are starting to figure out that in the background of Jesse's music really well, because like when I have to play by myself, it's like I play a lot of bar chords up the neck from where Jesse's playing,
Yeah.
and then I try to play a lot of fills in between all the stuff where the words aren't. So that way, if he's not singing, then it's like,
Yeah.
well, here comes some
You
leads or
don't
whatever.
take away from the words.
Yeah.
You know.
But now that you're playing there, it's like I don't have to play like nearly as many leads because you can play all these grace notes on the bass in between there. So I can just worry about playing mostly bar chords. And then when it's time to solo, I'll take a solo, you know, like, so it's kind of like we take pressure off of one another in that sense. And I feel like that's something as the more we play together, the better we're getting at.
Yeah, I think we're really good together, man. You know, sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, and play a solo," and I'm like, "No," because I'm just like, "Oh, I'm not sure what to do on this particular song," or even I don't think a bass solo would sound good on this song.
I don't think it matters.
I don't know. I mean, you know, some people say bass isn't a good lead instrument. You know, I mean, I saw, I'm like, that's bullshit, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
Brad would beg to differ.
yeah, exactly. Brad, I mean, you know, and look at all these big bass players that have gotten pretty big from playing lead-ish bass parts, like, or Flea.
Yeah.
You know, would be a good example. Because
Flea would beg to differ.
yeah, exactly. You know, everyone talks about Flea. You know, he's like the bass player you talk about.
Yep.
You know, he's like the most mainstream, really good bass player. And, you know, it's important to stay in the groove and in the pocket when you're playing bass, but you can also play leads with it. Mm-hmm. You know, like Victor Wooten plays solo by himself, no one else, just him and his bass.
Yep.
And he wows people with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he also knows how to play it normally, you know, and you got to find the line
Yes.
to
Yeah.
do both of those things.
And like you said earlier, Jam Night in Barnum's a great place to figure
It
that
is.
out. Because
It
no
is.
one's going to just like turn around and be like, you suck, quit it.
Yeah,
You know,
I've never
just-
seen that there.
No. I mean, like, there's sometimes where people get frustrated with one another there.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of that just comes back down to we're trying to figure out each other's styles and figure out how it fits
Yeah.
together, you know, like
And
sometimes like that.
communication's important,
Yeah, true.
especially like, you know, with a drummer.
Yeah.
You know, like let's say, and I'm not saying this to anyone in particular, it's just like a situation. Like let's say a really bad drummer comes up, right?
That'd be like me. I've done it before. I know exactly where you're going with this.
Well, there's like nothing wrong with, you know, playing something simple. Like if you don't know many things, but sometimes someone will go up and they don't know what the tempo of the song is, and
Yep.
they keep doing the same thing, and then the singer has to slow down, or everyone else has to slow down, then fast again, and then slow again.
yeah.
That can be frustrating,
Yeah.
you know. But
You feel the tempo accordion a whole bunch, and it's
Yeah.
not supposed to.
but like you should always. So I feel like you should tell someone when you shouldn't be doing it, but don't be mean about it. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you should probably slow down a little bit, man, or
Yeah.
listen, you know. But don't be like, you're trash, dude.
Yeah.
Get off.
Yeah, like you said, there's none of that there.
Yeah, there's
far
none
as,
of that
You know,
there.
as far as I've ever seen, and once again, the person that's probably the best at being tactful with that kind of stuff is probably Jeremy Over.
Yeah, he
you
is.
know, he's always been the best. It's just like, hey, we're in this key or whatever.
Yep, he's really good, but he knows how to, you know, help other people be good too in
Yes.
the song.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Once again, it's a great community of people to sit around and play in, and
Yep.
and you know, I'm really glad to have you there because like I said, if it wasn't for you being there, I don't know if I'd be playing leads with Jesse and you'd be playing the bass. I think it would still be me playing the bass for some reason with Jesse, you know, and Dan Blair playing the leads. I don't know, you know. So
well, I would love to see you play bass again.
I'll-
The day that happens is going to be revolutionary.
maybe I'll have to give it a whirl sometime, you know.
That'd be nice.
We did actually take your bass apart. We were going to modify it a little bit and then realized the parts we had weren't going to fit. So we went a different route and put it back together. And so we're going to
Damn it.
We're going to go round 2 on that sometime here though. We're going to go
Hopefully.
round 2.
I'll find something to put in there.
Yeah, definitely. But we got about an hour in here. We talked pretty much
Yeah, we did.
a little bit about your basics on how you got to be as good as you are. And guess what, everybody? There's no secret. It's play a lot and practice a lot. You know?
Preach.
Yeah. Every time I ask people that, I feel dumb. It's just like, how'd you get so good? Well, I play a lot.
Oh, I just played.
Yeah, a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other, you know, you like playing. So it's not work when you like doing what you're doing.
No, it's
you know?
not. It's fun.
Do you ever get really frustrated with yourself and just like, I suck, I'm not going to play anymore today? Or anything?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you're playing, like I record videos sometimes, like
Yep.
on Facebook,
Yep, I've seen
and
them.
I'll post like covers or whatever. And sometimes, like, I tried to play the song "Hair" by Larry Graham or Graham Central Station, and it took me about 50 tries to get the song.
Oh, jeez.
I just found it really difficult, and I fucked up my finger so bad. I was bleeding on the strings, but I kept playing it until I got it, and I finally got this attempt, and it was pretty good. And then, like halfway through the recording, my phone died and didn't save. So
Oh, no.
I put the bass away, and I didn't play anymore, and I got really pissed off. But stuff like that does happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry it did happen. I'm sorry to laugh in your face about it too, but
It's funny, dude. It's funny.
it is funny after the fact. When it's happening, it's not
Not
funny.
when it's happening.
No, but
But it's a funny thing, but if you're determined enough, you can do it.
I feel like that's a thing for anything. When I was giving
Yeah.
guitar lessons, people are just like, my fingers are too big, or my fingers are too small,
Yeah.
or I don't have something dirk, and blah, blah. It's like, but if you want to, you can.
Absolutely.
Case in point, me. I'm not a very, I will have to say, I'm pretty okay at playing guitar.
You're pretty good, dude.
I'm not like amazing or anything, but a lot of it was a lot of work on my part. I had to really, really, really work at it to get as good as I was. I'd be embarrassed to tell you how many hours I've put into being not good at the guitar until I finally got good.
Well, that's a lot more hours for anybody. I was shit for a long time.
I mean, it is what it is. So, oh man. Well, I'm glad you joined me on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
Absolutely. Is there anything I missed, or you want to give any shout outs or anything?
No.
No. All right.
Wait. Shout out to Eric Lee.
There you go.
Check out one of his shows, Suddenly Hollow.
Definitely.
I think that's it.
Yeah, the kid's an up and coming beast.
Yes, he
That's
is.
for sure. Yeah, or just swing out to a jam night and watch us all play and
Yes.
goof around a bunch. It's pretty wild how good it sounds, and we're just goofing around for the most part. So
For the most part, it sounds good.
yeah,
90% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. We'll check you later.
All right. See you, man.
Oh, snap. I tell you what, I listened back to some of this episode, and Owen just makes me smile so much. The kid is so much fun. And like I said, he's an absolute monster on the bass guitar. And, going to those jam nights has kind of taught me there are some youngsters out there. When I say youngsters, I'm actually, starting to age a little bit. I don't want to admit it, but it's kind of fun to see these youngsters up and coming and playing instruments, because it's, we talked about it a little bit in this podcast. There's not too many people playing instruments, but the ones out there that are doing it, holy cow, they're insanely good. We're talking about Owen himself, Eric, and I've run into a couple other youngsters at jam nights, and that's not to discount, me or anybody else my age playing instruments, but, music's not dead. It might seem like it here and there, but it's not dead. Owen is, like I said, he's just such a fun guy. He's got a great positive attitude. He's always smiling. The kid's quick as a whip, so if you're gonna try and smack talk him a little bit, you better have about 2 or 3 comebacks ready, because the kid is just funny. He's got something fun to say about just about everything. He likes goofing around and having a good time, and he's just an all-around good presence to have at jam night and beyond. Like I said, we play with Jesse Wilson Music, and it's really fun to have him there. And I think the only thing he lacks musically is just stage experience, and when he has that, I'm not sure he's going to stick around. I mean, the kid is literally, if he just sticks with it, he's like, world touring quality bassist. And that's my opinion, but I don't think that's an exaggeration by any means. The kid is just absolutely insanely good. So, check him out. Like I said, check him out at a jam night. Check him out at a Jesse Wilson show. I've heard rumblings that he might or might not start playing some bass here or there with some other people just for fun. So check out that Northern Iowa music scene. We've got some absolute monsters up here playing music. And, like I said, Owen is just such a fun guy. I don't know if he knows this, but when he's not around, I've never heard a negative word about him. As a matter of fact, everyone just always talks about how much we love him. The kid is just so much fun. And, we talked before and after the podcast, and we were doing some work on his bass before the podcast. And, after the podcast, we're hanging out a little bit. And it's just kind of one of those fun things. It never ceases to amaze me the older I get that I can learn stuff from everybody, not just musically, but, mentally and cognitively. Owen has such a good head on his shoulders for how young he is. And I don't know if I would have that good of a head on my shoulders if I had his talent at his age. So, he's just one of the good guys. He really is one of the good guys out there. So, Owen, if you're listening back to this, hats off to you. all I have to say is literally everybody in the music scene that you've encountered absolutely loves you. Not just because you're great at bass, but because of who you are as a person too. So keep it up. You're an awesome kid, man, and it's awesome to just be able to share the stage with you. It's really, really fun. I seriously have such a blast with him. There's some videos out there hanging out somewhere of us at jam nights, and we're just like dancing around and goofing off while we're playing guitar and bass, and it's pretty fun. We're getting really good at playing off one another and just goofing off and having a good time, because that's really what it's all about when you're playing music. So yeah, check out all of his stuff. It's he's got a little bit of stuff on his Facebook page, but otherwise he plays live at jam nights and with Jesse Wilson and maybe with a few other people coming up here. So check him out while you still can, because like I said, when he graduates, I mean, that kid can go just about anywhere he wants to with his talent. So hats off to you, Owen. If you guys are looking for more Audible Farm goodness, go to audiblefarm.com. You can find links to literally everything Audible Farm has there, including the Patreon page, which is $1 a month. That's $12 a year. And you get all the video versions of the podcast, not just those little clips that get posted on our YouTube channel. I mean, I'm talking full versions. But yeah, $12 a year. It's $1 a month. It is what it is. If you guys are looking to support monetarily, you can also check out the Audible Farm shop. I only have one hoodie left. It's a small. Hit me up. I'll sell you the hoodie. I'll be at shows. I'll be dragging it around in the merch box, trying to sell that one last hoodie. It's getting warm out. I don't know if I'll get more hoodies in. I've had people asking for them. Maybe I will. I might wait till fall, but I do have some possible new t-shirt designs coming in too, so check out the shop for that. Otherwise, if you want to support non-monetarily, this is the best way to do it. Like the page, like the post, like the videos on YouTube. Share the content. Give me a review somewhere. Give me a review. Give Audible Farm a review. That's literally some of the best things I can see is when people comment on the posts or comment on the videos or the podcast wherever they're listening, and I get to see what they think of the podcast or what they think of the guests. That feedback just makes me smile so much. Lets me know that I'm doing something right and that people are enjoying listening to the conversations that I'm having with the guests that I'm bringing on. And like I said, this week was a great one. I hope to have just more awesome guests coming in. I've had a few lined up that I've had to kind of scoot around, and times are, it's not as easy to make the times up with some of these people, but I've got a few people in mind, and I'm dancing around some dates to try to get some episodes recorded. So keep in contact for some of that. There's going to be some good episodes coming up. And hey, I just got to say thanks for listening to this episode, and I'm going to say thanks once again to Owen for sitting down and talking with me. Owen, you're always welcome back to sit down and talk. If you got anything on your mind, hop on back. Let's chat a little bit. And yeah, I think that's it for this week. I will be back next week with another episode. Peace.